Welcome to this, an Arse Brothers Rankcast, an ArseBros O.G. And Toby, we're back. We're in the driver's seat of this post-game podcast that you and I do, and it's sort of becoming a bit of a reoccurring event now, isn't it? A reoccurring thing that we sit here after a lackluster Arsenal loss and try and convince ourselves that we're going to take some kind of like higher view, 30,000 foot view of the club and the game, and not get caught up in all of the ranting and the shit.
Was that a question or just a statement?
We're here in a room, talking to each other.
Yes. No. Apologies. Yeah, it's I don't tend to be completely fucking knee jerky. I dislike certain players and certain situations sometimes, but with the game, even though the post and the crossbar and Leno to some extent seem to be our best friends, I also thought we had an opportunity to snatch it, and we actually showed some minerals and resilience and a bit of guts. So let me package that and say there is some silver lining to a pretty dire performance again, but I'm quite happy to thank you, mate. I'm quite happy to go down a bit of a discussion on what's wrong and what went wrong in the game. But I just want to put that out there before we begin, that it ain't all bad. We weren't ever miraculously going to become this amazing club. Just things have stalled for some reasons, and we can go into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that because I think you've got two different types of sort of reactions to this at the moment. I think you've got I actually never thought that much was going to change. For me, I predicted it for a 1-1 and said in our group chat that I expected us to go a goal down, getting hit on the break after having wadges of pointless possession, because that's what we've done all year. So. You've got that side of thought, and then you've got this other train of thought, or this other side of thought at the moment that is, that the world is coming down and everything is shit and Arteta out. And we are going to dig into some of that stuff as we go because it's important. It's important that we cross some of that stuff off the list. But just before we keep going, I'd like everyone to look at the bottom of the screen because there's a banner there and it says Mike is a cunt. And that's because Mike on his show put up that I was a cunt because on someone else's show we put up that Toby was a cunt. So apparently this has started a war of who is the cunt of the week. And Scunny Mike from the Friday Arse show this week, you are the cunt of the week, my friend. You are the cunt of the week.
And that actually comes back down to me because I didn't know how to do it. So before the show that I facilitated, the monthly pod, the most recent one, I specifically requested to Scunny Mike if he could put Max is a cunt banner on the bottom.
See now. But you've been the cunt.
And he obliged. And
you've been the cunt of the week for like 2 years straight, though, Toby. So it's about time someone else got called a cunt. Also, I found out the other day, did you know that when you are trying to monetize videos over Facebook and YouTube, that pretty much as soon as you say cunt, you don't earn any money anymore? So I've realized, Toby, that is us fucked for ever earning any money because apparently even fuck is bad. So fuck the cunts, not here for the cash.
What I say? Fuck
anyway.
You and fuck Zuckerberg and fuck censorship and eat a fucking dick. We'll be how we want to be and we'll keep it real.
Knock, knock.
And be poor.
Who's there?
In the process.
Fuck off. Toby, into the game. I guess we should start at the start because that's the start. Major changes that people wanted to see. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang played through the middle. Check. Alexander Lacazette dropped. Check. Joe Willock into the team. Check. Arsenal into a pure back four with Kieran Tierney played at left back. Check. You and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. We put a few things out on Twitter and we've spoken to a few people about the idea that changing the formation, because Mikel Arteta's formation was already so fluid that we were really already kind of playing in a 4-3-3 anyway. We're playing in a very, very fluid formation. So the idea of actually changing it didn't really make you and I think that massive like wads of change would instantly happen because we'd gone from a 2-5-2-1 to a 4-3-3, because if we were still going to defend with 7 at the back without the ball, it wouldn't make a fucking difference anyway. And pretty much, Toby, I hate to say a toe to so, just for another Trailer Park Boys reference. If anyone doesn't watch Trailer Park Boys, you're not going to understand a lot of mine and Toby's jokes. But a toe to so, Toby, that changing the formation wouldn't make a huge difference to the Arsenal Football Club. And we really saw what was a very similar performance to what we have seen in other games.
Definitely, and you can either agree with me or disagree with me, but I actually thought it was Xhaka was dropping back into the centre of a back three a lot of the time as well, and leaving Willock and Ceballos in a 2. So I think in terms of that fluidity, we were still doing that. I thought Tierney and Bellerin both had really good games for me, and I can see them improving us, both of them playing in their natural positions. But you're right. I mean, the fluidity doesn't really change that much. And then it also exposes players who ain't that good in the first place in certain aspects of the game. Bamiyang. So, we have to have a look at those things as well.
However, Toby, first sort of 5-10 minutes of the game, the first 3 touches that Willian had, I wrote down. All 3 of them were a touch, a turn, and a burst forward. And I got the impression in the first 5 minutes of the game, I was like, wow. Yeah, I was like, wow, these guys have had to kick up the arse. These guys have come out here to play. And it just dissipated incredibly quickly, Toby. It dissipated into a lot of what we had already seen, which is the midfield being emptied. It dissipated into a lot of what we'd seen with the Arsenal players seemingly getting very, very worried about actually producing a tackle. I mean, the backing off literally every time Leeds got on the ball, Xhaka just went in and made part of the back 6, just made 3 centre-backs across the back with essentially everyone back there. But
that's the conservatism of our play. That's the conservatism.
No, I know this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting at, Toby, is that even with those so-called attacking changes and bringing Joe Willock into the team and playing a 10 and Aubameyang through the middle, and in essence, we did remove a defender for an attacker. A defender was removed to make way for Joe Willock. And as far as us producing more shots on target, we still only produced 2 shots on target for the game.
Not really. It was like 59th minute before we got one on target.
That's what I'm fucking saying. Are you listening to me, or have you got shit in your ears today? Which one is it? Definitely shit in your ears. Anyway, what I was saying was, if you would like to listen to me for a moment, Toby, is that despite people believing that these moves would make us an attacking force, that we would somehow come out and start firing and that Pepe would deliver us all of this go forward, the same issue remained. And the same issue remained that we had a massive disconnection between the midfield and the front lot. A lot has been said about the really, really poor performances. Willian completely fell out of the game. Pepe will go into him later, but did look lively for the first 15 minutes. And once again, Arsenal produced, I think it was 4 shots in the game, 2 shots on target. One of them a very weak effort from Aubameyang, and one that Saka maybe should have taken. But despite all of these changes, Toby's, and removing the defender to bring in the attacker, the problems remain, the passiveness remains, and the backpedaling, the running away from midfielders driving at you to form this back 6 or back 7 still remains. And I guess the thing that I'm interested in today, having been on Twitter and having looked at everything and having looked at what everyone said and had long conversations with people, Toby, surely Arteta isn't his game plan. Surely this isn't Arteta saying everyone bail back into the box. This must be one of 2 things. Either a complete loss of confidence within the team defensively, reminiscent of the end of the Unai Emery era, where it felt like they were so afraid of losing that they just went completely passive. Or it's the opposite argument to that, and it's that this is being heavily coached now, that we are overcoached, overstructured, overthought. Or I guess the only other part to that could possibly be that it's a Ceballos Xhaka midfield 2, and that doesn't really work, and we know it doesn't work. So
No,
I'm interested. Again, inception
I'm going to
questions.
stop you there. I'm going to stop you there.
Well, I
Stop
didn't
blaming
actually
the-
make a statement.
No,
I
you
didn't
didn't.
actually
You
say
made,
which
you
one
made
was
a
which.
series of fucking statements without asking a question. But I'll try and sift through it. I disagree with you in the finger at the midfield because the front three, they don't fucking move. They don't create any space. They don't alternate positions. They don't make runs. They don't put pressure by changing what a defender is set up to know about us. Okay? So I guess Willock was tasked with having a bit more of a free role. Okay? And he did a good job running, but he was fucking rusty. All right? So a lot of the touches didn't come off. A lot of the passes didn't come off. A lot of the things broke down. There was sloppy passes that we hadn't seen for a long time from Rob Holding, sloppy passes, Gabrielle, sloppy passes. There was just turnovers consistently. You know, your Pepe's, your Xhaka's was playing so deep that he was effectively a centre-back for me. All the pressure was on Ceballos to make something happen, and I actually thought he was our best player. Maybe up until Pepe went off. My issue, instead of constantly focusing on the midfield's job is to defend and contain and find attacking passes where those attacking threes have stressed the defender and pulled them out of position. This isn't happening. All right. And coming back to your other point, among your many, many points, will be the fact that Willian, so we made some attacking changes, but we still didn't make all the attacking changes because Saka was dropped to the bench. Whether that was tiredness from the international break, I don't know. But there was still conservatism with playing fucking fuzzy-haired, fuzzy-wuzzy cocksucker on the left who does fuck all for us and is there to hold our defensive shape. You know, he's there on our own box, back there, you know, playing with Tierney more than he is affecting anything in the front three or linking up with Aubameyang or Willock further up top. So for me, there's this big movement issue, which is a desire issue. And then on the other side of things with Pepe is he's not getting the ball high enough up the pitch. So he's receiving it really, really deep and under stress from a whole bunch of defenders and then trying to cut in and cut across. So yes, we are conservative, but yes, we're not conceding. We've actually got the stingiest defense in the league.
Toby, we should have conceded today. We should have conceded before Pepe went off. So that's pure. That's pure fucking luck. If you're going to go down that path of saying in this particular game we gave up attacking mode for defensive mode.
I'm not saying we gave it up. All right, but what I'm saying is, and all of those post hits and Leno saves, that was after we were after defending our own box because we were a player down.
No, but they still gave us problems after the first 5 minutes.
But they're a good fucking team. They just don't have any end product.
I don't understand why you're yelling at me. I'm making broad statements, Toby.
What I don't like is when we finish a game and we react and then everything changes and then these players aren't good enough and, you know, this is shit. I'm just trying to have a more of an overarching perspective on things. I
am also interested in having an overarching perspective, but what I'm not interested in is fully absolving players that aren't playing well
what other players did we have?
Fully absolving the coach for not putting the team out the right way or fully absolving the coach for not being able to get them motivated. That's kind of the space I'm living in. I don't think that it's one problem, Toby. I don't think that there's one issue here. I don't think it's specifically a midfield problem. I don't think it's specifically a attacking problem. I don't think it's specifically a Mikel Arteta coaching problem. I think there are huge fucking issues going on in this club behind the scenes, and that's being played out on the pitch. I put up a tweet that said teams that connect off the pitch, connect on the pitch. And none of those players look like they're connecting on the pitch. I'm really fearful that there is factionality at the club right now. I'm fearful that you've got a senior playing group who either aren't doing what they're told or don't like what the rest of the team is being told to do. And then you've got a group of players who seem to be very willing to see out what the manager wants them to do and are putting in shifts, but they're not the stardust players who are actually going to go and win you games. So there's this huge fucking imbalance in the club at the moment. And I'm really worried that at some level, and I hate using terms like lost the dressing room, but I'm really worried at some level that this is starting to reek of the end of Unai Emery. This is starting to reek of that Baku team.
The same team. It's the same fucking club.
Down tools, same players, same clubs. You've still got Ozils in the club stinking up the joint, putting up fucking tweets at halftime saying, "Ya Gunners, ya," at halftime, so that everyone in the world can just sit there and fucking tweet and be like, "Oh, we want you back in the team, Mesut. We want this, we want that." I guess, you know.
Well, I'm going to say something really polarizing. I don't actually reckon Emery was as bad as we thought he is, because no cunt can manage this team. They're not that good.
I don't think that's polarizing
at
all.
There's flaws everywhere.
If you remember when we did, do you remember Manny did the Forgiving Arse Sins, the Church of Arse Bros episode, and we all came in and we said what our sinful thoughts were?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but one of my sinful thoughts at the time was I said, I don't dislike Unai Emery as much as I dislike the players that made Unai look like shit. I didn't absolve him of being a weak manager and not sticking to task, but it's the same fucking players. It's the same core group of players. We've even gone and added more players like that group of players who let Unai down. We added more of them. You know, we dragged in Willians and more guys like this. And I'm looking at it, and there has to be a factionality within this club. There has to be a point at which he's going mental on the sideline. I don't know if you saw Ted, but he was going mental on the sideline. That's not what he put them out to do. So what is it, Toby? Is it chicken or the egg? Because you've got two types of Arsenal fans right now who are like, the team's being put out like shit. It's not making it work for them. The other side is saying the players are fucking shit. And I'm like, is it neither? And is it the environment with which they're trying to play their football in, what's going on behind the scenes, is causing just this disconnect everywhere? Because you've got to admit, Toby, there are players out there not putting in shifts, including our captain, and that's another lazy performance from him regardless.
He shouldn't be our captain. He's never
didn't hold up. And again, after the game, Toby, this is the third time I've seen this season. Again, after the game, the whistle blows and he's laughing and hugging people. Meanwhile, Kieran Tierney's trying to fucking punch on with the guy who lost us the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, whilst it's really good having happy and positive people in a team or a dressing room, you really need leaders and fiery leaders as well. Stop being negative, Max. You'll get
Tezza from the clock end. Stop being negative, Max. He's going to smash me. Well, there's not much to be fucking positive about, Tez, to be honest. So we're going to go down this rabbit hole until Arsenal gives us a reason not to. Go on, Toby.
But there are certain people who are actual leaders, actual captains, actual managers, all of that type of mold. Now, Aubameyang was selected because he seemed to be pressure proof. He seemed to be happy and he had a good connection with players. Since he's actually got his feet under the table as the club captain, we've gone fairly downhill. I'd like to caveat the couple of games towards the end of the cup final, but we don't have anyone who's showing any leadership on the pitch.
Yeah, except for Kieran Tierney and Bukayo Saka.
No. But those players are too young to be considered captain material. All right. And that's a reason why you've got someone like a Granit Xhaka who might not get near the first team that much anymore, but who will remain club captain or a pseudo club captain, because he's the one setting those standards for training that, you know, and in terms of carrying out the manager's orders that a manager will always go to. All right. Now, in terms of like factions off the pitch, we have no fucking idea of this stuff. We have
no,
it's
and
all
I did,
here.
and I
It
never
is
said,
all.
I never said I did. I never said I did. I said
I'm
this
just
is
saying,
what I'm
let me
feeling.
finish.
This is
Let me
this is what
finish.
I'm feeling is happening.
Sure, no worries. It's hearsay and conjecture, and when we start winning again, there will be a better environment. There'll be a better perspective. There'll be a better team mentality, communication. There'll be better combinations of players. Like all of this stuff. This is just a period, I believe, where we've focused so much on fixing up our leaky defense, which is our biggest problem, that we haven't focused enough on our attacking play anymore. The form has dropped, and in the Premier League, when you're playing 3 or 4 competitions, you don't actually have time to do that much changing, in terms of the coaching. So, and then we've got the player recruitment, you've got industry. I mean, Mesut destroying the club internally, once again, hearsay and conjecture. The cunt's getting nowhere near the fucking first team. It's dead. Let's stop fucking talking about it.
He should be fucking banned from Twitter as well, though. Look, Toby, I'm all for the kind of approach that you're taking at the moment. I'm all for a bit more fucking zen, and let's all take our socks off and walk through the garden and feel the green leaves between our toes in the morning.
You're a dickhead, but yeah.
I understand. I understand all of that.
But we'll have a win and everyone will be fucking noshing him off.
Well,
again.
in a lot of ways, Toby, we did have a fucking win. We went to fucking Man U and won. And what did it do for the club? Nothing. Everyone expected that would chuck us into gear. We'd go on a run. People are saying next 3 games, win, 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 back at the top. It did nothing for the club. And that's why I keep saying there is something wrong inside the club, because you're saying a win will turn the club around. A goal for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang smashes his fucking penalty in the top corner, is apparently going to turn him around. How about a guy who's been frozen out of the team, told it's because he didn't fucking run enough, he didn't track back enough, he didn't do enough, given a run in Europa, done the right thing, gets his run in the Premier League, Toby, and proceeds to do the grand total of 0 tracking back, exposes Hector for the entire game, and from all reports, got a fucking bollocking at halftime for it and made sure he found his way off the ground. Made sure of it. That says to me there is a systemic problem within the club. There is a systemic problem within the playing group, and this is not going to get better. What do you do at this point if you're Mikel Arteta, Toby? What do you do? Do you drop Oba after you just drop Laka? Do you drop Willian? You've got to drop Pepe now. Do you fucking go out next week and play fucking Reece Nelson, Martinelli back with 1 day's fucking training and Eddie Nketiah and think you're going to go beat Wolves? It's rock and hard place territory. And I'm not saying in any sense get rid of Arteta, because I don't think that you would gain anything from that right now.
It'd be fucking retarded if anyone.
It would be a stupid move. But I'm also saying that management comes in a number of different layers. And when you go and take over a structure, I've done it in the past in my career. If you take over a structure that's unmotivating, that's not performing, the first thing you start doing is work out what you need to do underneath that to bring in the right people. But in the interim, you have to get the best out of the people that are there. And that means that you have to motivate them. And that means you have to prepare them to actually go out and do their jobs. By hook or by crook, you've got to get a result. And right now we're seeing failure after failure after failure. We just got done by Aston Villa and done badly and should have been done. Let's be kind. 4 goals should have been done. Let's be kind. 3 goals to 0 should have been done.
We had a fucking player sent off, you donut.
We were shit before he got fucking sent off, Toby. I'm all for the zenness. I'm not having a big fucking...
They were shit. They didn't have any final third whatsoever, but fuck they ran, fuck they moved, fuck they had good combinations, and they looked like a good team. This Bielsa guy is a good manager. I know there's no crowd.
And what are we?
We were playing away from home at Ellen Road, all right? We could have nicked a point. We could have nicked the win if Saka had to just put his foot through it or chipped over the top. All right? Now,
and you know what? It would have been fucking highway robbery and undeserved. Don't look at the fucking result. Look at the performance. Look at the application. Are you going to defend the application of the players? Is that what you're going to defend?
The performance I saw was Tierney, fucking heroic. Bellerin, best game I've seen him play all season. I would say fucking Ceballos, absolutely cuntish, nasty performance from him. I fucking loved it. All right. Where I have an issue once again is up front. Those front three are doing fucking nothing. We also had Pepe sent off. If he doesn't get sent off, then we're still in the game. All right. Football and
he does get sent off.
Football and sport are on very, very small margins and moments in time. Okay.
Yes, Toby, I understand all of that.
And a loss of confidence. All right. What I'm saying is this isn't great, but what happened was everyone pulled in a shift instead of falling apart and defended their fucking ass off and threw themselves in front of the ball when we had players out with fucking Rona. No symptoms, by the way. Fuck off. Then, and then you've got players, like your Lacazette's stinking out the place, your Aubameyangs, quite frankly, not working hard enough when he was put in the position that he should have been played in. You had Reece Nelson who come on and played quite well, but as soon as he played well, Pepe was sent off, so his role changed. You had Willock who came on who was rusty as fuck, but actually showed some running. You had Xhaka who was slow as shit and really didn't progress because he was more of a back three. We already know that. That's no different. So I'm just saying it's not great, but it's Ceballos passed the ball out of play twice and constantly turned the ball over. Yeah, good on you, Stan the man. I thought he was bloody brilliant, by the way.
I think that I'm all for, I'm often very calm with you, Toby. I'm doing stuff. I think you've pulled more fucking positives out of that game than any human could physically pull positives out of that game for the sake of your own fucking sanity. Fact, right? There wasn't that much good that happened. Hector had a decent game going forward, got completely annihilated going back. Not his fault. KT had a good game. Saka had a good game. Reece Nelson tried really hard, did nothing, but had at least 10 times more effort of what anyone else had. Joe Willock had a shit game.
He was
super fucking isolated. And we're going to have a chat about that because I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater there. But there comes a point where positivity is fantastic and looking for good things is fantastic. But I'm looking at this football club, Toby, and I'm thinking we're going to get 8th again. That's what I'm thinking right now because
that's all we got.
I don't understand.
That's all.
No, I know. Then stop being so fucking positive about it.
Because there's no point being negative. Because
there is a point being positive. There is a point being negative.
We're no different from how we were with Emery or Lundberg. No different.
Yeah, we're a worse team than we were.
No, we're about the same. We're a good.
Here's an interesting question for you, Toby. Let's change gears for a second. Let's change gears for a second because apparently today you and I are just going to fucking yell at each other the entire fucking day.
This is good. I don't know how it'll go as a podcast, but this is good.
I assume it'll go quite well. I mean, Tez has said here he's enjoying himself. He's going to go get a beer and watch his spa. He's called you the new Darren. Darren, who I do the clock and talk with, just basically says the fucking opposite of what I say to cause an argument. Love you, Darren.
I do love Darren. I got a bit of a man crush on Darren. I do.
He's got such beautiful pearly white teeth as well.
He's
it's really
silky
enticing
voice.
when you talk
silky
to him.
voice.
He does.
Well.
He does. He's much better than Tez. Much better than Tez. Tez should really pack it in. He's a cunt. I love you too, Tez. Quick shout out to the guys in the chat. So we've got Manny in the chat. We've got Tezza from the Clock End Talk podcast. I do the Thursday Night Live, which is one of their Patreon shows now. Go give them a follow. We've got Den, the Ruthless Gooner, in there. Great channel if you like, following very tactical breakdowns of everything that's happening. We've got Big Steve. Big Steve was on with us on Scunny Mike's Friday show. We've got Manny coming in and calling me a cunt, making fun of my moustache, which I don't have anymore, and saying fuck people's motivation. We already had that argument today. Manny, we've got Stan the Man from almost every podcast in the podcast realm. He is the true podcaster. And we've got the one and only Fergus Keating from Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I'm going to be on with them on Wednesday morning, Melbourne time. Lots of people in the room. More than we usually get, Toby. We're fucking popular at the moment. Changing gears, Toby. Changing a couple of gears because we got to come back and we got to talk about some more negative stuff later on. So I'm sure you're going to say that it's all very good and very peachy and much more yoga stuff. But something that I really kind of wanted to rip into and talk about and get an idea of kind of how you were feeling about it was the fact that Gabriel and Holding, I know that you said that you thought Holding had some poor passes and Gabby had some poor passes. I thought that was movement related as well. I thought they didn't have channels to pass into.
Very good defensive display, though.
If I am going to take something out of this game, Leno was very good. I thought Hector Bellerin, when he wasn't fucking exposed by Pepe in every possible way, was very good and very good going forward, played some beautiful passes. Holding was an absolute rock. He only got done once by Bamford, and that's because he actually slipped. It was for the Bamford header. Holding went to get up and his back foot slipped out. Commentator said he got caught under the ball, but he didn't. Gabby had another very good game. He cleared one off the line with his dick, which clearly hurt. He walked around rubbing it for quite a while. And Kieran Tierney put in a manful performance. Very strange for so many of the players who we thought were so good to be getting either positive points or lauded in this podcast, Toby, when we conceded, I think it was in the second half, 12, I think it was 6 shots on target, 12 shots overall in the second half. Definitely sort of bringing it back and concentrating, kind of centralizing it and concentrating on the fact that we seem to have developed a central defensive partnership that I think is going to hold up to a 2 at the back at the moment in Holding and Gabriel. And just wanted to get your thoughts on their performances and whether that's a great block for us to at least.
You'll make me go positive again, which is against your narrative.
No, well, it's the only positive. You clearly don't want to be fucking negative today, so let's play in your court.
I'll go negative, but further up the pitch. So what I was thinking today is, when was the last time we had 2 tall central defenders? And both, Holding might not be, he might not have a lot of, he's not the biggest bloke in the world in terms of his physique, but he's certainly tall, and we had 2 very tall central defenders, very comfortable under the ball, very good at clearing. I know they had some misplaced passes, but they're not bad playing out from the back. But just 2 quality central defenders who enjoy defending first instead of sliding in or being error prone or trying to defend on the front foot all the time. They just don't let the attacking opposition pass them. And I'm starting to, and I'm not going too far on the lovey-dovey stuff, but they shouldn't do that. But they're not letting players through anymore. And I'm enjoying Holding, and I'm enjoying the Holding Gabriel combination. I can see fruits of that, for the future. And as Louise gets phased out potentially, because we can't always afford to play an extra centre back just because they're good at distributing. And then the fact that Tierney was in his rightful position, I thought that was some of the most tenacious run-on-one running, both
Tierney's
in an attacking and a defensive
performance of the season.
The motor on that motherfucker just purely
Did you see my
desire.
comment in our 3-2-1s when I gave him the +2? I said Tierney is a million. Effort level, a million. Never stops.
Yeah.
Fucking smashes everyone. Wants to fight everyone.
Yeah.
Leads the team.
Yeah. He's literally everything I love about football. And everything.
Can I say again, when Saka came on, again, I'm going to say it, the best combination down the left-hand side is Saka and Tierney. They work like fucking diamonds. I don't know whether that's going to end up being Saka on the left of a midfield 3 or Saka on the left of a front 3. But that's the next fucking 10 years at Arsenal. That's the next big ticket at Arsenal.
A little bit tangent, but Saka's better driving from deep. And that's why I've seen him as a left back or a wing back before. He's probably less clinical. And that might be...
Really good comment, by the way, from Ruthless. Mourinho Park plus, Arteta Park straight. He did have 8 across the back again.
That's fair enough, Ruthless. Defend first is definitely our priority. And then you don't really have a lot of creativity with anyone who can create something from nothing. So, Pepe is technically very good, but I'm just going to say it. He's a weak little bitch. He can't handle the premiership. He needs to put on some size. Willian, let me finish. Willian is a fuzzy-haired fuck who's fucked and shouldn't be anywhere near the team. And we're having sloppy seconds from Chelsea again. And apparently it was Arteta that pushed for him in the first place. Massive fucking mistake. Massive wages. Just fuck off. I don't care anymore. If we're going to play this defensive, all right, and be this positionally conservative because we defend first, we need to have some spark up in that front three. So anyway.
Horses for courses for me again, Toby. There are going to be games where I think you do play 3 centre-backs. There are going to be games where I think you do play Willian, where you are looking for structure instead of chaos. I actually thought Willian tried to play chaos for a bit today and immediately was blowing out of his ass. I actually think he emptied his tank in about 30 minutes. I think he tried to do the opposite of what he does, boned himself, then he was blowing out of his fucking asshole.
Well, blame management because, you know, like he did okay at Chelsea last year. I actually thought he had... I think it was that game against
someone on Twitter who was saying when you guys signed Willian, I laughed my fucking ass off because he said not Twitter fans, Chelsea fans knew he was done. His stats are padded from last season because he got bought in. He was playing smaller minutes and he got bought in and he did stuff when he came in. He was taking all of their free kicks. So his goal, his like assist numbers and stuff like that was all padded, but he said he knew they were cooked. I don't know.
There was one game, I think my memory may escape me, or have escaped me rather, but there was one game, I think it was against City, where he absolutely dominated last season. And I thought this,
you know what? Old players can do that for a game. I even question the fact that we fucking played him every single game since we started him. That surely the game plan would have been, if you're going to go get a guy like that, I want to look to the bench and say, okay, Saka's played 60 minutes. He's blowing out of his ass. I've got this guy who's got all this fucking experience who's going to come on and see out the game. Not the fucking other way around.
I know. I mean,
and then you bring on Saka to be the cool head.
I'll join the hearsay and conjecture brigade. You know, he must have a photo of Arteta like noshing off Pep Guardiola or something, because there's a reason that he's starting every fucking game.
I wouldn't want a blowjob from Mikel Arteta. His beard looks spiky and like it wouldn't be enjoyable. There are lots of men I'd get my dick sucked from, like David Beckham. I think he'd suck a good. I'm not saying I'm like that. I want to go get my dick.
No. You were a bit positive with that. You know, you were a bit positive with that.
If I was like gun to my head and someone was like, "A man has to suck your dick,"
all right,
like,
well, that's better. That's better because you were actually talking very positively with a grin on your face about which men you would like to suck your dick, rather than if you had.
Anyway, moving on.
Just don't let him talk first.
Yeah, moving on. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about, and a couple of things that I'm getting really confused with. So it got put up to me.
Your sexuality?
Yeah, obviously. I've taken the Ryan Reigns. Well, I've had a haircut and I've had a shave, Toby. I'm feeling...
Oh, looking rosy-cheeked as well.
I've also lost 6 kilos in 3 weeks just from going back to work. So being sat on the couch for 7 months and going back to work. So straight off me, I'm feeling okay. So it got put up on Twitter to me the other day. Someone posted up and tagged me in it because it's something I had said a couple of weeks ago. And they tagged me in the game against Chelsea, where Martinelli goes and scores his goal. And it showed this amazing pressing performance from Arsenal. This amazing pressing performance where everyone was pressing from the front. The team were pressing high. They were winning the ball back. They were pressing high at the front, absorbing through the middle, breaking down through the middle, and then passing through channels over the top and running. And I'm just wondering, where the fuck has the pressing gone out of Arsenal? Because it's the note that I wrote down the most. We didn't press Villa. We haven't pressed Leeds. Everyone's standing off the ball. We're running backwards towards our goal as fast as we can. I listened to a stat today. Arsenal have made the least amount of successful tackles in the Premier League. Leeds
Well,
have made
that
most
shows
amount
you
of
back off.
successful
Yeah.
tackles in the Premier League. Why the fuck are we backpedaling? And Den said it from Ruthless Schooner. He said park the train, and he's not wrong, because there are so many pictures of us being 7 at the back, 8 at the back, right? Going deep into a box. And we did it against Villa without 10 men. So you can't say it's a 10-men reaction, because we did it. Empty the midfield, giving up these massive areas for these deep crosses to come in and for people to get at us. And I'm just wondering, Toby, Arteta came from City, right, where City pressed the fucking shit out of everyone and rotationally foul, right? Those are the main things I think about when I think about City. Obviously, they have, the star power. When they get their opportunities, they smash.
And it annoys
goals.
the fuck out of me, rotational fouling. But absolutely, it annoys me because it's effective.
But you've got this Arsenal team now who have no press. And I'm just, again, I don't know the answers. I'm actually not making statements here, because as an Arsenal fan, and as I guess, we're pseudo pundits, Toby, we go online and we talk about football. You and I often try and work things out and work out how and why and certain things happening. Where the fuck is the press? Why aren't we pressing? Why are we running back towards our goal? Why are we the team in the league? This is my question. I'll actually finally wrap up the question for you, Toby. Why are we the team in the league? I want to talk about 3 stats. Least amount of goals in the league. Least amount of shots in the league. The 15th least amount of meters progressed forward per second in the league. And the least amount of tackles in the league.
I have no fucking idea, because
What is the game plan?
Well, it has to be. It absolutely has to be. Don't concede first and score second. There was a game that we pressed, but I think that they were coached so poorly in that game and set up in a way that it suited us. And that was the Man U game. The other thing I wonder,
Man U never challenged us physically. That game's a write-off for me. Don't even take that as a marker. They never challenged us physically in any part of the game. They just let us run the fuck straight through them. They were fucked. And we didn't create anything in that game either. There's this whole fallacy about that Manchester United game. All we did, the Manchester Arsenal game, was like 2 negative batteries. Or was a negative and a positive?
Negative ends of the battery.
Yeah, but they didn't oppose each other. They became...
What the fuck are you on about? 2 negatives don't mix.
Push away. Yeah, except I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying in the Arsenal-Man U game, they almost we were both not good and we met in the middle. And the 2 teams nullified each other. We didn't dominate them. They didn't dominate us. We got a penalty. Everything got nullified in the middle. So I don't know whether that's negative or negative positive. This beer's 8.5%, by the way. Negative, positive. I don't know which one it was, but I'm just saying that's a fucking...
So negative. 2 dicks and no chicks end up in some serious shit. Like, it just doesn't... They just don't go together.
2 dicks and no chicks, bro. Zero. None. Not even. Oi, Corona. Toby, other notes that I have, and we're going to rattle through a couple because we're not doing anything. We're just having beers, so we've got nowhere else to be for a little while. Joe Willock, Toby. So people called for him in the team. His Europa form would lead you to believe that he was ready to step up into the team again. He offers something that none of our midfielders offer. Very happy to see him in the team. Wasn't a fantastic performance from him. He looked a bit lost. I just want you to know, agree or disagree. I put up a tweet saying you need to give Joe 5 games in that position so that he can work out and understand and build the confidence and know he belongs at that level before you can start throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I wouldn't say 5 games. I think with the amount of money and the amount of pressure that's in the Premier League, you don't have that much time to try shit out. And he had a lot of game time under Emery and under Lundberg and maybe Arteta at the start as well. But I just thought that he played about his level. He was quite good. He ran really fucking hard. He was a bit of a nuisance, and it just didn't come off.
Very hard to knock off the ball.
And and sometimes you just got to wear that, and another game or two. I wouldn't say 5 games, but another game or two. And we certainly need an attacking element from midfield, because we really don't have it. We really don't have it. Well, when El Nene comes back in, he's a pass and move, a tiki-taka type of player. Partey seems to be a little bit better. Maybe he can get his foot through a few things, be a bit box to box. But I certainly wouldn't imagine him being an Aaron Ramsey or Frank Lampard arriving late, putting his foot through the end of things. The one good thing about Joe Willock, or Joel Wickett, as my 5-year-old son would say, is that he's got a desire to score. And he doesn't have the best finishing in the world, but he's there or thereabouts,
He's got to know that he belongs at this level. That's the thing with Joe. I think he's got to know.
He's got to make it happen. All of them have got to make it happen.
He got that opportunity last year. He didn't take it. He's gone back into the Europa team, performed to a really high level. I mean, really high level, where I was like, I fucking love this kid. I'm ready for this kid to come back into the team. People don't realize he's over 6'1". He's a big boy. Yep. He's a big bopper. He runs fast, tracks back, he tackles hard. Again, it's another player where it's between the ears with him. And for me, it's not about Joe Willock having it between the. I assume you're taking a piss, and that's why you've turned your thing off.
I am taking a piss, and then I'll
mute. Have the smallest fucking bladder of anyone I've ever met. You drink 1 beer and piss 3. You're fucked.
It's a ping pong motherfucker, but I am on my 4th beer, so
it is. Okay. Anyway, I just feel with Joe Willock, Toby, that there's no point, or that you can't just go and say, on this one performance, I'm not going to play him. I know he didn't do it last year. I know he got given opportunities last year. And I know in a way people think that he's found his level, and that he's found his level at that I guess, the Hale End boys, as Ryan would call them, playing Europa League and having a good time. But it's like I say about the rest of my life, Toby. If you haven't done it, if you don't do it, then you can't say you've done it. Then you can't know that you've failed it, right? You got to do shit to know shit. Like, don't make a comment about sticking pingers up your ass unless you put pingers up your ass, right? You need to know shit. You need to do shit to know that that's the thing that needs to happen, right? Or that that's good, or that that's bad. And for me, if we don't now give Joe a massive run in the team, a good, decent run in the team, if we bring him back in and then we cast him out again, you might as well say goodbye to that kid. I don't think you can keep bringing him in and putting him out, and bring him in and putting him out, and bring him, putting him out. He needs to be in now. He needs to be in for a run of games. He needs to be protected. He needs to be picked, and he needs to be told. It's almost like having your balls rubbed, Toby. You need to be told, you're good for this level. You can play at this level. And that's just my thing. I saw a lot of people saying it was a bad performance, and I was like, yeah, but the pressure that the kid must be feeling, coming into the first team again, and the pressure that he must be feeling knowing that he didn't do it last year when he got given quite a lot of opportunities.
Well, it's funny because once again, because the experienced players aren't doing their job in terms of motivating and leading the team, we are starting to put all this pressure on. So instead of just playing football and playing on instinct and enjoying and playing at what these players are good at, they're tasked with coming in and changing the entire complexion of the team. So everyone's saying, you don't have an attacking midfielder. You've got no one who's truly connecting the front three and the midfield. So you bring in this young kid who's kind of been in and out, who's done it a little bit in Europa League and in preseason games. And he's the one that's tasked with changing our trajectory. So whereas you've got a player like Aubameyang, who looked, quite frankly, disinterested in the first half, who had no desire to hold up the ball. And I really think maybe this is why so many managers have seen that and understand that to play the number 9 in the Premiership these days is quite a thankless task. And he, quite frankly, doesn't have the minerals for it. So if we're playing on the...
Did you see his touch map? So his touch map was he touched the ball twice on the left, 3 times on the right, 3 times kind of in between the center circle and the goal, and once inside the goal. That was his first half touch map. Now, that would say to me that you've got someone who's still, his touches were still wide. He was still trying, even though he was playing centrally, he was still trying to shoot wide.
Yeah.
You know, which is just wild to me. Like, so I think I was listening to Burkamp Wonderland. I was at the driving range today, and I was listening to Burkamp Wonderland, and they were talking about the fact that surely if you're going to play Oba, you want to play him off the shoulder of defenders because he's not big enough to compete with them dropping deep. He's never going to win you a ball. He's never going to hold up a ball. He's not an amazing passer of the ball. He's not a bad crosser of the ball, but he's not an amazing passer of the ball. He's going to drop deep and release a winger into space with a through ball. And when you look back at his Dortmund days, his goals were off the shoulder of defenders, making late runs. Like
counter-attack.
Or
which we were playing last season, but we're not countering attacking because we're not turning over. We're not transitioning.
Start, Toby.
Yeah.
There is a moment that is going to come with Mikel Arteta, and I've really been reticent to dig into it because it's so spiny at the moment, so spiny about people being like, because apparently if you say, I don't like something he's doing or I think he's failing at a certain level, you're Mikel out, right? But also I call it toxic Mikel positivity.
That's just the culture of society. Scunny calls it 50-50. I call it the polarizing nature, the absolute fight to the death, the pro and anti, the black and white. The entire crux of society now is having an opinion and having no gray area and fighting to the death on everything. And that's why all these dickheads fight and comment and fight and try and be there. So
we produce content. I'll go on the Arse Bros extreme with Manny tomorrow and we'll get ripped in because it's cathartic for us. We're Arse fans. We invest a lot. We invest our money. We invest our time. We invest a lot of emotion. I don't know about you, but it upsets me for, a lot of the day when I'm walking around. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, we nearly got done by Leeds 4-0. I was at the driving range and the guy in the bay next to me was laughing his ass off about Arsenal today. Him and his mate were playing. We're knocking balls around the driving range. Like, did you fucking see Arsenal? How fucking bad are Arsenal? And I was like, fuck. And there's a thing. I think there's a little bit of like embarrassment for Arsenal fans at the moment. I think that's building up. I just put this quote up just incidentally. Again, it's from Den, who's listening in today from Ruthless Gooner TV, talking about how Aubameyang's starting to piss him off not putting in a shift. I think that we've covered that and that we've spoken about him not putting in a shift. What I want to do is I wanted to take that comment, Toby, and I wanted to throw it over to you and say, you and I for a long time have spoken about that we don't like strikers as captains. Do you think the weight...
I didn't even like Henry as a captain.
Yeah, I've said that before. I didn't like RVP as a captain. Do you think that people talk about the weight of the wage bill, right? The weight of the contract.
It's like an opening batsman in cricket being the captain of the team,
I don't know if you remember, so Michael Atherton was a fantastic batsman, got made England captain, scored no runs. Michael Vaughan, fantastic batsman, got made captain, scored no runs. Trescothick got made captain, scored no runs. Strauss got made captain, scored no runs. Hick got made captain, scored no fucking runs.
And Nasser as well. You missed him.
And Nasser, thank you. We've gone through the last 20 years of English cricket, Toby, just to prove that we're English cricket nuts. Yeah. But do you think that taking the captain's armband off Aubameyang may actually be the release valve that he might need now?
Fuck yeah. He's a good...
with the weight of being the Golden Boot winner last year.
For sure. I don't think he is a bad egg by any stretch. I just think that he's a good time guy, and I think you need some serious grab by the scruff of the neck type of captains. And I know we're not going to have a Tony Adams or a Patrick Vieira anytime soon, but I think we really need to think about who's leading us. And for a long time we had players who are our captains that didn't even play. And that pissed me off, like your Thomas Vermaelens, and there's other examples as well.
And I hate goalkeepers and strikers as captains. I detest.
I don't mind a goalkeeper as much because they're pretty dominant personalities at large.
Ed's just put up a comment, Toby. Would you give the captain?
I'm not saying Xhaka, but I would actually say out of all of these fuckwits at that club, he's the only one with captain
I would put
tendencies, or
Toby, I didn't even like it when they put the armband on him when Over came out. So Xhaka for me is maybe not done as a player. He's not my favorite player. I think he can do a job in a certain situation. I wouldn't put the captain's armband back on him. But Toby, the question remains for a great deal of us. We did a podcast about this last season. And I think for about 3 of the 6 Arse brothers, we all said Hector Bellerin. All of us said Hector Bellerin.
Yeah, but then most of the Arse brothers have wanted Hector Bellerin out.
No, I know. So I'm not saying it would be Hector again. I think that there are maybe, if I was to go with a player off the field and give him the captaincy, an off the field player, being again, like Mertesacker was captain and not playing, Arteta was captain and not playing. For me, it would be David Luiz, because everything we know about him is he's a very important structural point. He looks after the players. He gets the young kids over for dinner. He gets them settled in their houses. He's meant to be this very, very gluey person.
Potentially. I think in response to that previous question, no, we wouldn't go back to Xhaka as captain, even though he is the pseudo captain at the club. I think we need to start nurturing or training someone up. Yeah, well, look, I would say Tierney is the only one who shows captain tendencies. He's not fed with a silver spoon. He looks like there's a bit of a cunt about him. He shows it consistently on the pitch. Now, why not give him a vice captaincy role and put in a 3 to 5 year plan for him? So, you've got players like that are consistently showing that level of performance and desire, who aren't letting us down on the big moments. Coming back to Xhaka, he displays the leadership qualities, but he comes up with too many errors on the pitch to drag the other 10 players by the scruff of the neck and say, follow me.
So, what do you think about Holding? I love a centre-back as captain.
We don't know if he's good enough yet.
He would need this season to solidify himself.
Yeah.
But if he plays the vast majority of this season, and him and Gabby form a fantastic partnership. I know everyone still talks about Saliba, and we haven't seen him, and his mum died, and he was homesick, and he's a young man, and Arteta might not fancy him, and all of this stuff.
There's a reason he's not playing, is all I'm going to say.
I agree with you, Toby. That's why we haven't touched on it at the Arse Brothers, because we try and avoid the very low-hanging fruit. But I do think that Rob Holding would be someone who we could maybe give the captain's armband to.
Well, another one of the vice captains, for sure.
Well, I guess,
train them up.
Well, Toby, let's do what we always do and go back to rugby league. Leadership group.
Well, that's what Emery did. 5 captains.
It's in our leadership group. I'm not talking about 5 captains. I'm talking about leadership groups.
What's the difference?
Well, no, 5 captains because it was called 5 captains.
Well, what's the difference with a leadership group?
No, now you're just fucking picking pennies out of a piggy bank cake. I don't know if that's actually the saying, but that beer was 8.5%. Anyway, moving on now that I've made...
You're doing a Ryan now. You'll be like, man.
When El Nene comes back, I make him captain. Thomas Partey could be an option. Obviously not now, but by the end of the season, Thomas Partey could be an option as well. I don't know enough about Real Madrid, but I definitely do think, Toby, I think the crux of what we're getting at is that maybe, like English opening batsmen, having that much weight and having the weight of being the captain on top of Aubameyang, who is a good time guy. I've been a good time guy, Toby. You're a good time guy. When you and I get together, we like scissor into an animal good time guy and end up consuming all of the drugs. But I'm not
Except
sure
we don't have vaginas, and that's why you would scissor. But you know, yeah.
But
We
I'm just
combine. I would say we're more like a superhero or like a Power Ranger or something like that in terms of getting fucked up. And then if you Captain Planet, if you let your getting fucked up powers combine, then we make Captain Planet, and we go for days.
I'm saying if you got a little bit of me and you got a little bit of you got a great leader. But individually, you probably don't have a great leader.
Both shit cunts, yeah.
Yeah, both shit cunts, but different things for different horses for different courses. Now we're just doing this for fun because I'm half cut and we're talking shit. So we're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Me too.
Where am I up to? Toby, last one. Last one we're going to do before we sign off.
Okay.
Pepe's career at Arsenal is over. He hasn't applied himself to the team the way we expected it to. He has been chinned by Arteta, and I got the feeling that he wanted to be anywhere but on the pitch in that second half. I got the feeling he got fucking bollocked by Arteta for not doing his job and thought it's cold, it's wet. We used to talk about players who didn't fancy it on wet Wednesdays at Stoke, and I really feel like that is exactly what Pepe wanted. He wanted a nice, warm, early shower, and he fucking made sure that he got it. Thoughts? It's way back for Pepe.
Look, I don't know about that. He could have been chinned, and he would have been like, I'm going to fuck this cunt up. This guy has been niggling me all day. I'm going to show some fight back.
You don't fucking headbutt him, Toby, in the modern game, regardless of whether it's soft or not.
Well,
you don't put your face to another person's face. It's not 1970s, 80s, even 90s. It's fucking 2020. And if you breathe on a bloke, you're getting fucking sent off.
Yeah, look, fair enough. And look, I -3'd him for it. So there's no excuse in that way. But when we consistently talk about our players being a pack of fucking pussies that don't take on the one-on-ones, and then we shit on them when they do take on the one-on-ones and fire up, then maybe we are the hypocrites. So what I come back to with Pepe, and why I don't want to dismiss him or say that's his Arsenal career done, is he's a young player and he really fucked up. Like, he really fucked up. But how many times did, like, a Patrick Vieira fuck up? He was consistently sent off. So or a spiky little cunt like Ceballos, who's on the edge of getting sent off a few times in this game. And I really enjoyed that, by the way. He will learn from that, and reflective practice if you want to get into that, like, management side of things, reflective practice would mean that he would learn from that. So rather than cut a line through him, we paid fucking £72 million for him. That's not his fault. You know, he now has to go. Let me finish. He now has to come away and fucking earn his place back into that team, or he doesn't. But he doesn't. But he doesn't get sold. He doesn't get sold tomorrow because he got sent off. The world doesn't work like that.
I'm not talking about him getting sold tomorrow, but I'm talking about him getting sat on his fucking ass for a period of time, Toby.
Well, he will. He will. He'll be chinned. He'll be chinned.
You know my background. You know my career. You know the things that I've done, the way that I've operated. And I've worked in industries where you have to motivate people, you have to chin people, you have to bring people in and you have to touch their balls. You have to make sure that you've got a team of people who are all pulling in a certain direction, preferably all pulling in one direction, but everyone needs different levers pulled. I'm wondering how many different levers you can pull with Pepe, because I feel like the first lever was like play him and back him, and he did nothing. Then the next level was like pull him out the team and get him playing in the Europa League and get him scoring. Check. Then the next thing was you're in the team. Can you imagine that Mikel sat down with him before the game and said anything but Nico, this is what I need from you. A manager like Arteta, who's screaming so much on the sidelines, you'd almost expect him to go out there and double foot someone just for the sake of it, right? From the sideline, from the coach's box. Do you really think that he would have said to him anything other than, Nico, go out, work hard, show me what you've got and make a difference? And he went out and he did fuck all before he got sent off. Absolutely fuck all. And I'm not even talking from an attacking perspective because he is a moments player and I understand that. A moments player. He might try some once-overs, fall over the ball. He might try to take someone on and fall over the ball. He even had a couple of opportunities where he tried to curl one in this particular game and came close. But the one thing that you would be saying to that guy, what I need you to do, I don't care if you make a tackle, you just have to come back. And to see heat maps of him with Hector not getting double-teamed, but getting triple-teamed, with Xhaka pulled into a centre-back role.
That's going to hurt getting triple-teamed.
Ceballos on the other side of the pitch, Xhaka pulled into a back six, and Pepe standing in the fucking penalty box, sitting there looking. These are the same things that we killed Ozil for. These are the same things that we killed countless other fucking players that we've had over the years for.
Yep.
You know, the thing I look at, the thing I'm asking, I'm not saying, you know, do you dump him out the team? Do you sell him? For me, if you can get £40 million for him or £50 million for him, you get him. You get it done because I don't think he's shown enough. He's had nearly 2 full seasons now. Sorry, he's had a whole season and he's had part of this season now. I wonder what other levers can you pull down on this guy, Toby? What other things can you do? Chinning, dropped, in the team, played to death, put in the Europa squad. What else does Mikel Arteta have?
No, and I'm going to say for once that's a very good point because you're correct on all of those things. For me, I keep coming back to the fact that he wasn't a very good signing. He isn't a Premier League type of player. He certainly wasn't worth £72 million. And at Lille, from everything that I've heard, he had very low responsibility in terms of work rate and defensive positioning and solidarity. So if we have bought a player that was completely unsuitable to the way we want to play, then it ain't ever going to work. And then you put the £72 million price tag on it and it makes it even worse. So I think in the modern context in the Premier League, you've got your wide forwards have to be industrious, ruthless, creative, and then also quite clinical as well. So if you use your peak wide forwards as an example, you look at Mane and Salah, they have a huge element of cunt to them. Like they compete for every millimeter, every scrap of grass. They don't let players pass them. They tackle hard. They run in behind, and they score at least 1 in 3. You know, I have no stats to back that up, but they're very clinical. Whereas Pepe was never suited to the way we need to play. Big Steve. And yes, Toby, he had no pressure and total freedom at Lille, hasn't got the mentality to change that and works his bollocks off. Yeah, exactly. So he hasn't got the mentality.
It's of Mario Balotelli to me. It's got nothing to do with talent. It's all got to do with the bit between the ears. And I thought that I know that he always came off as quite a humble player because he didn't have the big outburst when he scored goals. But that face when he got sent off, that fucked me up, Toby. Like the way he walked off the pitch. He didn't put his head in his hands. He had like one touch and it was like, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah, I mean,
here's a question for you. Europa League game on Thursday. Does he play? Or does he get fucking chinned and put on the bench?
What do you mean? How can Pepe play? He's got a suspension.
In the fucking Europa League, he's not.
Doesn't matter. It's 3. So you can accumulate them. It's not just Premier League. It's not just Premier League.
Have I fucked
all
up?
right. Well, I'd have to check that. I think you can accumulate them across the cups.
I thought you could accumulate them across FA Cups and League Cups because it
Well,
was an FA ban.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's domestic then. So potentially.
Someone in the comments, let me know, can Pepe play or not? Drop it in the comments. There's a few of you in there.
That's a difficult one, actually.
Toby, let's just change up the question. If he is available, does Mikel chin him, or does he say, "You're now a Europa player, go show me what you..."
Almost, yes. You see, you would almost play the double bluff of management, and you would put him in, and you would say, if you don't do exactly what I want, this is your opportunity now to Premier League and FA Cup. Okay. All right. Thanks, Big Steve. So it's domestic ban. I would actually go the other way and play the double bluff. Instead of punishing him when he's already punished, I would say, this is your opportunity to prove everyone wrong. Go and have the game of your life. Because if you oust a player and you have that much vested in them in terms of their youth, their ceiling, all of the above, then it's a detriment to your team and your own decision making if you ostracize them even further, because it's going to be a longer path back to redemption.
I don't hate it. I don't hate what you're saying. You've got him until the end of the season. You're not going to be able to sell him for fuck all if you
more than the end of the season. But
it's not like Guendouzi. People were talking today on Twitter about it being like Guendouzi. I'm like, Guendouzi costs like £7 million fucking pounds.
Yeah,
this guy
he was a low risk decision. Yeah. This is a high risk decision.
You got to get that guy playing, and someone needs to fucking actually want to buy him. And if we can recoup £40 million of that, £50 million of that, and he can fuck off somewhere else, I've got no problem with him fucking off if he ends up being completely unsuited to the Premier League, and for that matter, completely unsuited to Arteta. Don't forget, he wasn't Unai's choice. Unai's choice was Zaha, who was big, powerful, strong, dominant, Premier League proven, and the same fucking price.
Yeah,
but let's not
everything that I would want. I would give my left bollock for Zaha, and I know what he's touching 28, 29 now, and you don't have the longevity, but he would be everything that I would want in this Arsenal team right now, because he can create from nothing. He's got an incredible explosive power, burst of pace, which means if we're playing on a low tempo, he could do something. Counter-attack, finishing, all of the above. I'd have him in a heartbeat.
All right, guys. Well, Toby and I, we spent the first half an hour bickering with each other. We spent the next 45 kind of agreeing with each other, but this is what we do. This is the ArseBros Rankcast. There are 3 shows on the ArseBros Rankcast. So you have the ArseBros O.G, which you guys have just listened to. That's me and Toby, the original Arse Brothers. The Wednesday Extreme you have with Manny Riz, who's a regular with Dan Potts on the Same Old Arsenal Tactics show. He'll be doing his ArseBros Extreme Wednesday morning Australia time, Tuesday morning UK time. I'm going to be on that one as well, and we're really going to fucking rip in. Then you have the amazing Scunny Mike with the Friday Arse with his 2 regular guests, Corey and Jerome. They'll be running through a little bit of preview, a little bit of looking back at the rest of the show. Guys, click the like button, hit the sub button, and if you love what we do, don't forget to ding the bell. Ding the bell real nice. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We've definitely enjoyed it. We're half cut. And we will catch you on the next ArseBros O.G, which will be Toby post-Wolves. Then after that, post-fucking Spuds. Couple of big weeks out there. From today, like 3 inches of fucking rain in what was sunny Melbourne and all across the world. Thank you so much for joining us, Toby. You're a piece of shit. I'll catch you probably after I end the broadcast and we'll have another beer.
That's right. And you're a piece of shit too. And I accept everything that you say.
Thank you. I accept.
Goodbye, everyone. And
good night.